Hey everyone, welcome to Make Gains, the channel where we break down money, mindset, and the moves you can make to level up your life. If you're about making gains financially, personally, or anywhere in between, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about net worth. Let's get into it. So first, we're going to talk about what exactly is net worth. People throw that around all the time, and there's a few different numbers we're going to take a look at.
This is a great question, and I'm glad you asked because not a lot of people know what net worth is. Essentially, it is your assets, all of the stuff you own, minus your liabilities, all of the stuff you owe. So when we talk about assets, we talk about things like cash, stocks, even your cars, the equity in your home, things like that. And then on the liability side, we're talking about things like the mortgages on your home or your car debt or your credit card debt or your student loans. Sometimes our liabilities are bigger than our assets, and that gives us a negative net worth. That's where I was when I started my financial journey. I had a negative $50,000 net worth. I owed more than I owned. And tracking that net worth helped me to grow my assets and decrease my liabilities. And that is a great place to start for a lot of people.
So in the business world, there's a saying that says you can't manage what you don't measure. As you're working on what we've been talking about, you're trying to make gains in your life. You've got to be thinking about where your money is. You need to be setting goals for yourself. And that way, as you're working towards this, you start to see movement in your life. And eventually, you're going to get to a place to where you can really celebrate. It's going to take a while to get there.
It's a math formula. It's a very simple formula. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. What you own minus what you owe equals your net worth. When your net worth is $1 million or greater, when what you own minus what you owe is $1 million or greater, you're a millionaire. Well, I don't feel like a millionaire. It's not a feeling. I don't believe anybody ought to be a millionaire. It's not a moral construct. I don't think that's enough. It might not be, but it's still a million. It's still what's there. This is a math formula. And when you reach that, the way you're a billionaire, 1,000 million, is if your assets minus your liabilities. It's not your income. You can make $1 million a year and not be a millionaire. You can make $30,000 a year and be a millionaire. So it's a net worth balance sheet transaction. It's an accounting function. It's not up for negotiation. Now, we can discuss all kinds of things about what a million is and whether it's enough and the moral construct around it. Those kinds of that's a fair discussion to have. But first, you got to admit and just say that is a millionaire. I just don't feel. I don't care. You are a millionaire.
You got $1 million. You're a millionaire, like it or not.
It is incredibly important to understand the difference between average and median values. It's very easy to manipulate data when averages are used over median values. Let's say you're trying to figure out the average income of Americans. You just add them all together and you divide by how many you added up, and that's the average. The median is the actual middle value of all of those numbers that are put together. One of the main differences between the average and the median is that an average is skewed by outliers. Let's say you sample 5 Americans. 4 of them make $50,000 a year. The 5th makes $10 million a year. The average income of those 5 people would be $2 million a year. But guess what the median is? It's $50,000 a year of those 5 Americans.
And so the reason this is important is if you look at all the data, there are a handful of people, those 1% that we all hear about in the news, that make an exorbitant amount of money. And that does skew the averages for the rest of us. So if you throw someone like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk into the mix with people who are making an average income, then all of a sudden it looks like we all should have a lot more money than what we do. So it's really important to look at the median just because that is the middle. We're going to look at this next video and then I've got some data for you guys so you can see how you're doing personally.
We're going to start for the folks in their 20s.
Okay.
The average net worth, $113,000. Which is impressive. Now we're going to move to the median. So we go from $113,000 to the median net worth for folks in their 20s, $7,600. That's more like it. That's
That
more
feels right.
accurate. In your 30s, average net worth $317,000, median net worth $35,000. Okay, so that's 30 to 39. I think that's good. You know, life's picking up speed. You probably have maybe you're married, kids, a mortgage by this point in your 30 to 39, but your income is usually higher.
True.
And so your saving and investing should become priorities. And if you still have lingering debt, you got to get serious because you still have compound growth on your side when you're this young.
That's true.
You got another 30 plus years of a working career to invest. Take advantage of that. Now, in your 40s, average net worth, $791,000.
Okay.
Median net worth, $125,000. We found in our millionaire study, where we studied 10,000 millionaires, the average age was 49 years old. So this isn't far off. The average net worth, $791,000 in your 40s. So to have $1 million net worth by age 50, I think personally that's a good goal to reach for because that tells me you're right there in that millionaire study data. Now, in your 50s, it climbs up to average net worth of $1.4 million and a median net worth of $288,000. So $288,000 is the median there.
Okay.
Which again, that scares me because if you're heading into retirement and your net worth entirety, home equity, investments, everything is $250,000, we got some catching up to do. And then finally, we get to the 60s, average net worth $1.7 million, median net worth $439,000. And this is where people are hoping to retire, to be able to. Now, they might work because they want to, but I don't want you to have to work because you have to. That's a very different place to be. And so median net worth of $400,000 scares me in your 60s.
Yeah, that median net worth of $400,000 scares me too. Because one thing that I want you all to think about, because we are making gains, right? We're going to be better than that median. I want you guys to be hitting that 1 million point in your 40s, like he was saying the average millionaire does. The only way we do that is by investing early and often. So when you think about the median net worth in your 60s being $400,000, where do you think most of that's coming from? It's coming from a house. Okay. So that's really scary to think that people are living in most of their net worth. All those medians that you're seeing, a large portion of that money in those median buckets are from a home. And guess what you can't do with a home once you retire? Well, you can't pay your bills with it unless you do something like a reverse mortgage or unless you sell it, which are both not great options. If you do a reverse mortgage, they're going to give you money for that. But guess what you don't have now? You don't have an asset that you can sell and get money from because you pulled out money from that house. And unless you pay off that reverse mortgage, then you're not going to be leaving anything to your kids from that house, or at least not much. And it's also a predatory way that banks can actually earn money. So they're taking an asset that should continue increasing in value. They're giving you money for it and basically saying, hey, whenever you pass away, this is ours. And then they get to sell it and for whatever it's worth at the time. But we don't need to do that if we've been putting away money. Okay. And so that's why I think those average numbers are important for us to look at to kind of gauge how we're doing, because we don't want to be sitting there in our 60s and not have anything in savings. And then the only way we can access money for retirement is by doing something like a reverse mortgage or by selling our home that we've lived in for our entire lives and have been working to pay down. So the average that he was saying in your 40s, according to this data that I found this is from 2023, the average is 783 in your 40s. In your 50s, 1.27 million. And then in the 60s, the average is 1.67 million. Now keep in mind that median is much lower. So the median in the 60s, $386,000. That's not a lot to be retiring off of. Although 1.67 is a completely different story. I mean, that essentially gives you access to $50,000 a year at a 4% withdrawal rate, which I think for most Americans is enough to get by. Okay. So be thinking about that as you're planning, but net worth is an important way to measure this. And it's okay if you're young and you don't have a lot. Okay. The average, even in 20s, was 152. Now, the bulk of that 152 is more than likely homes also, but that's whenever most folks start saving. That's whenever I started contributing to a 401k. It wasn't much. It was the match, but that's the minimum that you should be contributing in your 20s is up to that match. And then you want to continue to grow that every year until you can get to around 15-20% of your total income as savings. And even, if you want to retire early, then you need to be saving even more than that. So that is all for today, folks. Hopefully I gave you a bit to think about. Comment below how you're doing and what you're going to be changing in order to be able to make gains. And if you're already headed down that path of being successful for your retirement, congratulations, you are making gains. Thanks for watching Make Gains, where we level up our money mindset and our lives. If you're ready to keep growing, hit that like and subscribe button. We are continuing to grow, and I appreciate all of you watching. We'll see you next time.